What's going to be? How's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys notice this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast inspiring young rock and metal fans to discover new music, feeling their desire to connect and feel accepted. Welcome to the show, everybody. We are already, into May of 2023. My God. This time is just flying by. I mean, you always say the time is flying by, but we're in the spring from fall. Why did I say to spring from fall? Because the band we have on the podcast today is called From Fall to Spring. Absolutely had to make a weird reference there, but get ready for an energetic and rather dynamic episode. Oh yeah, just like their music. Before we jump into the podcast, though, I want to thank support for this podcast, which comes from Phoenix Fitness. So yes, you guys know, I mean, we're into the thick of 2023. Concerts are going on left and right, and I'm going to as many as I possibly can. And you guys know exactly why I go to those shows, because I love the music. They're my favorite things to do, and because I'm a mosh pit maniac. So I got to make sure I'm constantly saying what I like to call mosh pit fit. So I got to make sure I can continue to literally go from the beginning of the first band to the end of the headliner and not stop anywhere in between. I need that endurance. I need that strength to deliver the hits and take the hits from some of those big dudes that literally will try and, go like, we're going to try knocking down the pit. I'll be like, give it a shot. Except for you, Nate. I know you can already knock me down. Had to give a shout out to my buddy Nate on that one. So how do I say mosh pit fit? I go to the gym 6 days a week, and my 7th day is my rest day, so I'll sit in the sauna and whatnot. But I will be in there for like 2.5 hours at a time. A lot of cardio, a lot of weightlifting. So I'm preparing my body for that, and I'm training. But I also need to prepare and recover right so my body can continue to do this on a day in and day out basis and achieve those fitness goals of being mosh pit fit. That's where Phoenix Fitness comes in. Many different types of supplements to help you achieve your fitness goals and be mosh pit fit like me. So you can use their pre-workout, both stim and stim free. I use the stim free version because I don't need any caffeine or energy than I already have. I drive off adrenaline, motherfuckers. They also have different types of B-cell recovery components. Your muscles absorb the nutrients post-workout. Different types of creatine build muscle, different types of protein build muscle, whey-based protein, plant-based protein, collagen-based protein. I use their whey-based chocolate malt flavor because that's some good stuff. Different types of multivitamins and literally anything you might need to achieve your fitness goals, Phoenix Fitness has for you. So our listeners and watchers on YouTube get 20% use code CPP20 at fnx.com, link description of the podcast. Thank you, Phoenix Fitness. Now, guys, it's no longer fall, it's spring, and we're going from fall to spring on this podcast with the band From Fall to Spring. Get ready for one hell of a fun episode. The next 45 to 50 minutes of your time is going to be worth it. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. One of my favorite places to interview people from is from the country of Germany. And honestly, I've never had a bad experience from music that's come out of there. And when I got this one sent to me, I'm like, okay, this is definitely be someone. I see a band that has the name From Blank to Blank. I'm always excited about that because it's always going to produce some good quality content. And when I took a listen to it, I'm like, oh dear God, yeah, I am absolutely in for this. Their style has a modern take on nu metal with a lot of modern rock in there, some blasting 808s, heavy breakdowns, rapping on top of it. It is all over the place, but it's always dynamic to the point where you're gonna want to listen to more. So you want to listen to their brand new album, Rise, which comes out on April 14th of 2023. And if you haven't already checked it out, because I believe this episode will come out after the album is released, if you haven't checked it out, go do so. But after you enjoy this podcast with the two vocalists from the band. So please welcome Philip and Lucas from the band From Fall to Spring on the podcast today. So gentlemen, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Thank you so much. Lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
Pleasure to be here. We are really looking forward to the podcast. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. How are you guys doing? I mean, by the time we're recording this, you still have a little bit of time before the album comes out. By the time it's released, the album will be out. So how has everything been going in your world, of course, with releasing all these singles for the album, getting it out there? How has everything been going for you guys as of late?
So we started with all the singles right about when the pandemic hit the world. So we had a tour planned, we had an EP planned, we had festivals planned, everything was shut down due to the pandemic. And then we said to ourselves, let's write as much music as we can, shoot as much music videos as we can, and release everything. And in the process, we found a few new partners. We partnered up with the Rising Empire, we partnered up with booking agencies. And I think the album represents our last 2 years during the pandemic. So every feeling, every situation, everything is put into this album. And yeah, it's a real personal one, and it's our first one. So it really means a lot that it's coming out in a few days. So it's crazy.
A personal one, and one that you guys put a lot of time into, especially with everything that happened during the pandemic. But in tow, I mean, you take a look at it, you guys are set up in a fantastic position, even from the pandemic, where, yeah, of course, everything went to shit. You guys had tours planned, festival planned, but you ended up picking it up in terms of what can we work on in this moment? Let's work on more new music because that's what we can do. Work on new music videos because that's what we can do. And then by the time, you know, the world was able to open back up again and concerts are now the norm once again, thank God, you guys are in a position to not only go full force into that, but you constantly have you know, a barrage of new material for fans to sink their teeth into. And then by the time the album comes out, it's like, okay, we've heard a good amount of these songs, but we still get a couple others there. So by the time that release happens, you're still in the mindset of everybody as the album's coming out. I mean, I've been taking a look at, you know, of course, take a look at the numbers, and it seems like in the streams, it's like every one you hit, it's like in the hundreds of thousands, and then all of a sudden you get to the ones that are a little bit older, and they're in the millions to 2 million streams on Spotify. So clearly, you know, a consistent release schedule has been a major component in terms of making sure that people are continuing to remember the name from fall to spring and keeping that sound going into, you know, those different algorithms, of course, on Spotify, which is a real important thing right now. Those playlists, everything around there, keeping the name from fall to spring in people's minds. It seems like you guys have been doing that really well.
Yeah, we actually try to keep the amount of time between the songs up to 2 or 3 months tops, so that you have like four or five songs per year. But it's pretty exhausting with all the video shooting and song producing. It really got on our nerves a bit in 2022 because we couldn't tour that much that year. But I think 2023 is going to be awesome, and we're pretty fortunate we are doing that, and we can tour in Germany, and we got sold out shows coming, and we're pretty psyched for that. Yeah.
Oh, I'd be psyched for that too. Now, let me ask you this, because when it came to that release schedule, you know, consistent 2 to 3 months and having to do everything with the music videos around there, making sure the production of everything was solid and making sure that the release was continually solid to make sure that you guys continue to grow. And you said it was rather exhausting at that point, to the point where you didn't tour. What do you mean by how exhausting was it? Because I want to know the process of this, specifically because I've seen a lot more bands start to go down this route of, you know, focusing more on singles, given the way that people are consuming music. But from your side, actually going through this, especially from more of that feeling of exhaustion, how was that like? What was that like? What was that process like? I'm very curious about this, honestly.
Yeah, so you got to understand, we wrote all the songs on the go. So starting 2022, for example, the song Beast Mode, which was released in August, I think, or July, it hadn't been written yet. So we were writing songs, we were producing songs, we were recording them, and simultaneously shooting music videos, doing PR stuff, doing social media. We went live all the time on TikTok, and we really started gathering some followers on TikTok during the pandemic. And yeah, there was no time out. And you have to understand, we are all working full time. So this is a hobby right now at the stage where we are doing it. It's just a hobby. We want to do it full time as a musician, but it's not possible at the moment. So yeah, we had to do it all simultaneously, and had to be creative while you are doing so much organization and stuff. That takes a lot out of you, because you always have to be sharp. Sometimes you have to force yourself to do something because you know it has to be done, even though you're not in the mindset right now to do some organization and stuff. You rather want to write some more songs, but the song that we worked so hard on for weeks, it has to be finished till the end of the week. And these are the hard sessions. But as Luca said, it all paid off. So if you put in the work, it all pays off in the end.
Say hard work pays off in the end. I want to thank you for that, Philip, because when it comes down to the fans and when they're consuming music and people are trying to get their hands on music, it's okay, a new song comes on that's like, oh man, this is awesome. And 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, they're asking, when's the next song coming out? When's the next thing coming out? And when it comes to, again, trying to make sure that how people consume music through streaming, where those, you know, focuses are coming through when it comes to consistently getting on those playlists, getting in the algorithm, everything around there. A consistent flow and a consistent flow of content is something that is much more prevalent today. But what people don't understand is the stuff that the artists or the creators are going through at that point in time. Like you said, you have to write the music, you have to produce it, make the music video, do all the social content for it. And for a lot of bands, it's not like this is the only thing that they're doing too. There's a bunch of other things going in the background. Plus, if you're not at a point where you're doing this full time, you have other responsibilities. You're trying to make money other ways so you can make this into that full fruitful venture to do this full time. So when it comes to, you guys calling it exhausting work, I can now fully understand that, and I think fans can have much more of appreciation for not only the work that you guys are doing specifically, but the work that musicians and artists are doing as a whole, especially when it comes to the model that is out right now, where with music, a consistent release schedule, a consistent stream of new music seems like the way that it needs to be done in order to make sure that you're still, in that algorithm or in the playlists, or just to make sure that people are continually having your band's name and your songs in their heads. And when the new one comes out, then it's reflecting that once again, just a new song, and it continues to be funneled into them.
Yeah, what's also really important is to always promote the older songs too. That's a mistake that we are seeing so often, that a band puts out a song and a month later, no posts about that song anymore. And actually, our song Rise, which started the whole journey a bit for us, it took off 3 or 4 months after the release. So it took a bit of time, and we promoted it like crazy. And yeah, you have to stick to it and really promote till the next single is there. Promote it every day. That's what we tried. That's what we're still doing till today. And yeah, I think that made a difference in the end. And of course, because the pandemic gave us time to do that.
Yeah, and another thing I do want to add to that too is when you're saying, continue to promote even your older stuff as well. That's stuff that you guys created. That stuff, especially for the Rise album, all the songs you guys have released over the past couple of years, those songs are on that album. So even songs that were released at the beginning of the life cycle for this, you can still continue to promote those, and it's still relevant in terms of the promotion because you create it and you can make it relevant. Hell, you can, make it relevant where it's the 1 year anniversary of this song. It's the 1 year anniversary of this piece. It's the 5 year anniversary of this piece. Or it's like something happened to me today where this song really works alongside this crazy story. So go stream it, go listen to it. You can continue to promote that stuff because it's something that you created. You took months, maybe years to create this stuff. Don't just throw it away for promotion for like 3 days.
Yeah, and actually, there are millions of people listening to music, and so many haven't heard this song yet. And there's always, for a small band, there's always just a small amount of people who are getting to know the song when it's actually released. And you can get a whole new fan base years after that because they don't know you, they don't know the song, and you can promote it as a new song. I often post something on TikTok like this is the new style, and I post Rise, which is over 2 years old, and there are always people commenting, I just found this and this is so awesome. And yeah, I encourage especially small bands to keep going and always try to promote their songs, even if they have released over a year ago or something. Yeah.
And that could also go to just anybody in the creative space as well. If you put something out there, continue to promote it.
Yeah, definitely. And you see it, for example, with Master of Puppets from Metallica. So Stranger Things made it big again. It's a really old song, and now everybody was hearing it again. So it doesn't matter if the song is 5 years old, 10 years old. If you think it's the right moment, promote it again.
Yeah, that song came out, 1986? And all of a sudden, I remember last year, I had friends, playing it in their car, and I had friends, showing me, oh, yeah, this we're listening to it in the gym. They were playing Master of Puppets, and I'm sitting there scratching my head. I'm just thinking, you guys, this song's been out for how long? And it's the old guys in the gym are probably lifting to this right now, and they've been lifting this for over 30 years. But honestly, it's pretty cool in a way. And then one other thing you said, Lucas, that just stands out and it should stand out to every fan and every band is when it comes to, especially from a younger band's perspective or a smaller band's perspective, the audience that you have is going to know your stuff, but there's a large audience that does, so you continue to promote this stuff and it's going to be new to them. I mean, think about even from our other 3 standpoints for ourselves. how many times have we discovered bands or discovered artists that are deeper into their life cycles or have like 4 or 5 albums out there? I mean, I still remember, was it 3.5 years ago? I was going to a show because I wanted to go see Light the Torch perform because I wanted to see Howard Jones perform. And the headliner was a band I had never even heard of really that much. I maybe heard one song of theirs and kind of dismissed it. And I thought, you know what? I really don't know. They've been around for quite a while and decided to give them a chance. That was the first time I saw Ice Nine Kills, and I've seen them like 7 times since. I'm like, I didn't know about this, but if, continue promotion, continue to work hard, and you never know what might happen because you're able to connect with so many different people. There's over 8 billion people in this world, and there's a chance that there's a guarantee that not every person in the world has heard your song. There's a guarantee that not every person that is sitting around you has heard your song. Honestly, you could probably go, Philip, you probably go into IKEA, where you're sitting right now in your car. You could go in and ask someone if they've heard Master of Puppets before, and I can guarantee you there's going to be someone in there that says, I've never heard that name before, I don't know that song. So there's always somebody out there that isn't aware of it, that can become a fan.
Yeah, totally.
Totally. And that is awesome. And therefore the whole social media, TikTok, Spotify thing, it's bad for musicians money-wise, but it's really nice that you can reach an audience you couldn't reach before. 20 years ago, you couldn't reach someone in Brazil or someone in America as easily as we can now with just one click and one video we upload. Yeah.
Absolutely. And can you go a little bit further in what do you mean by it's not as fruitful for you guys money-wise? I have an idea of exactly where you're going with this, but I just want to have a better understanding of it so that everyone else can listen and be like, wait a minute, I thought social media was a good thing for artists. Yes, for reach, but for money, no. So I kind of want a little bit more on that.
There was more about Spotify because, as you know, Spotify isn't paying artists as well as they should and as well as they could. They're taking the money for themselves, and artists have to use this platform because it's so well received with the public, and everyone's using Spotify, Deezer, or Amazon Music, or Apple Music, and you have to play that game. Many big artists try to go around Spotify, but they are in the end they are coming to Spotify, and they're all uploading their music there because everyone has to now. it's like that.
It's like
and also I think what is important is that you can access the music that easily. You don't have to go into the store, buy an album, which really brings money in for the bands.
Mm-hmm.
The people are just streaming the music, and I think all social media outlets are enhancing this because you always want everything on your phone right now in the second that it pops up in your head. You want to listen to it, and this only works with streaming. So I guess all the social media, all the new digital stuff goes hand in hand, and that makes it difficult to make a living with music actually. So we had this from even bigger bands, really bigger bands than we are, and they are also struggling. So yeah, but maybe it will shift in the future. I don't know. I guess music always finds a way.
When it comes down to it, it'll always end up shifting in the future because there's always going to be something that comes out that becomes better than what was before it. I mean, just think about it in this instance. From when prominent way to consume music went from buying CDs in the late 90s, early 2000s to all of a sudden, the iPod came out, iTunes was the biggest thing, and buying single MP3 files. You were still buying those, but it was so much easier to get those and access those because now you could have them at any time. If you only wanted certain songs, you could get them, and they were put straight on your computer, straight on your iPod, so you didn't have to actually go to the store and buy the physical medium. Plus, from a convenience standpoint, it was put in a nice little, little device instead of having this huge giant rack of CDs. Now, of course, that got replaced by, we thought that was, the pinnacle of it, but it got replaced by streaming. And when it comes to the aspect from streaming, when it comes to artists, the fact that Spotify is not paying its artists, that's a very, very, very well-known thing that's in the industry. It is an absolute terrible thing that we do need to see change from because you're the ones that are creating that what's driving people to the platform. So you're going to have to buy it. But the problem that you guys are facing is everyone is going there because it is so easy for the consumer of music, like someone like myself, like someone like even you guys that just love music and want to listen to stuff, to open your phone, open Spotify, quickly search, and boom, you get that song right then and there. So if there's going to have some sort of change, there has to be something different than Spotify that's going to be even easier for the people to listen to music and to go through it. Of course, can we think about exactly what that is right now? Not really, because it seems like, okay, what can be better than streaming? But there's going to be something that ends up coming along and overtaking that in the future. What it is, we don't know. But when it happens, I hope it's something that actually pays artists their fair share, because you guys are the one that are creating the art. You should be the ones being paid for that art.
That would be awesome. I really have no idea what that could be, but I'm open to it.
Yeah, let's see what the future brings. But there are always ways of making money as a musician. And right now, I think the live game is back. So shows are back. People are looking forward going to festivals and stuff. And you have to adapt as a musician. So if it's not the sales from the music, there's always a way to make it. So let's see what it is in the future.
We'll see what it is in the future. So when it comes to the live side as well, I know you guys said you really didn't do much touring last year based on how much you were focused in on the new music, getting those singles out every couple of months. But now with, the album coming out, you're going to have the full slew of it. Now it's time to go out on the road and make that money and actually go out and tour. So what's the touring schedule looking like from fall to spring over throughout 2023?
Yeah, we're actually doing a headline tour in Germany in April with about 6 or 7 stops. And as of yet, there are just tickets available for 2 shows. The rest is completely sold out. And
Nice.
That's going to be awesome. That's going to be our first sold out tour and our first real sold out shows. And we already played 3 of them and it was really, really awesome. But I think the best is yet to come, because we're going to the big cities like Hamburg and Cologne. And it's going to be awesome. I'm pretty psyched for it. Yeah.
Yeah, but we also had a highlight last week. We played a show at a really, really small town in Bavaria, and they had a host for the whole evening, and it was Evil Jared from the Bloodhound Gang, and he played bass. He played bass for one song of our set. He played bass for our song Destiny. He went on stage, and it was so awesome. He's a really nice guy. He's living in Germany, actually in Berlin. And he came to Bavaria to play a song with us on stage. That was fucking crazy.
Is there a video of this somewhere? Because I am just blown away by this right now.
Yeah. We will upload this, and it's coming. We did a POV stage video of Destiny featuring Eva Jarrett, and it's coming on YouTube soon. I think next week or so. Yeah.
So then in between, the openers and you guys in between the sets, if he was hosting, did you guys have some of the Bloodhound Gang's music playing in between sets to get people, pumped up for the rest of the show? All of a sudden, just you and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals. All of a sudden, everyone's just like, woo, we're enjoying this. Then you guys come on, and now it's just complete and utter chaos in the best way possible. I
think he DJ'd himself from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., and I think he played a lot of his own songs, yeah.
But at the same time,
it was real fun.
I'll say, but at the same time, too, if he's going to be DJing and hosting, of course, you're going to want to have some of that stuff come in there just to have some fun with it.
Yeah, sure. It was awesome from start to finish, yeah.
And when it comes to the style of music that you guys end up working with and all the different influences that come in there and how dynamic it can be, that has me questioning one main thing, especially from the live show perspective. When you guys go up on stage and you're playing a live show, what is it like? Because I am very curious about this, and I want to know if it's something that I'm going to either want to go and see or willing to sell a kidney to go and see within the next month.
So I guess the show is worthwhile. We have really great reactions from the first 3 shows, and we always try to give as much energy to the crowd as possible. So we have an intro. We're coming up. The intro is kind of epic with lights and stuff. We designed a new light show for this tour, and it's all energy all through the set. So if anybody isn't full of sweat and at the end of all his of everything at the end of our show, he or she didn't do it right. So I guess to sum it up, you have to come to a show and sell your kidney.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, the way that you described it at the end being, if you are not completely sweaty by the end of the show, then something is wrong. See, now I'm thinking about it in this exact instance. If you guys have any connections on the dark web or on the black market for people looking to buy a fresh kidney, let me know, because then I can actually make it out there in time and I can experience that. Because when I go to shows, my whole mindset is I see that mosh pit form and I'm like a little kid on Christmas, like a 5-year-old kid running downstairs and seeing that bike wrapped up under the tree and just like, and you just go sprinting right towards it. That is me when I see a mosh pit. So it's just like, yay! And just go in there and have a blast. So thinking that I would just be drenched in sweat, looking like I just jumped out of a pool after you guys were done playing. Yeah, that's someplace I want to be.
Yeah, I think you'd like it.
So
then you have to come, yeah.
I'm gonna have to. I've been wanting to come back to Europe because I was there for 1 week in 2019. I'm like, I want to go back. I had plans to go back in 2020, but of course the world decided it needed to shut down. And then 2021, still same thing. Last year, all the concerts were coming through the U.S. So I'm like, I ain't leaving. I'm having a blast. This year, I'm like, I need more money. Next year, though, different story.
Yeah, if you're somewhere in Germany, be sure to hit us up.
Oh, if I'm coming to Europe, one thing I'm doing is I'm taking a look at all these bands I've had in the podcast, and my hope is that I can go to a different place or a different city each night, see a band that I know that's playing there, stop by, and all of a sudden be in the pit. It's like I might get like 3 hours of sleep a night from going out exploring, seeing the country, seeing all these different countries, seeing all these different cities, and then at night, alrighty, we got a live show with today it's from fall to spring. Tomorrow it's going over to see Future Palace, and then going to see Resolve, and just like constantly going through the list and just having a blast with it. So if that does happen, which it should, you guys will definitely find the crazy guy in the pit. It's like, who the heck is that? Wait, did Kevin sell his kidney to get here? And you might see me lift up my shirt and have a huge giant scar right here. It's like, yep, he did.
It sounds great. Let's do it.
Let's make it happen, because clearly, I mean, especially after listening to the singles that you guys have out right now with the Rise album, of course, by the time the episode releases, Rise, the entire album will be out for everyone to listen to. I mean, take a listen to the music. You guys have a very diverse range of music, but the key and the core around all of it, especially that I found from listening to all the singles, is the energy that is behind it. So how did you guys end up creating all of this stuff, and how do you guys end up writing in terms of bringing all these different styles and all these different ideas together to consistently create these diverse but also energetic songs at the same time? So there's always that cohesion right there.
I guess it's because we all have different influences and broad influences. So I'm listening to rap music, I'm listening to classical music at times, I'm listening to rock music, pop music. So, and everybody in the band is like this. So we're not just the metalcore guys or the rock guys or the new metal guys. We like fusion sounds. That's why we all love Linkin Park so much. I guess everybody loves Linkin Park, but yeah, we especially love Linkin Park. You can hear this in some of our songs as well. And yeah, we always like that they found a way to put these music styles like pop, rock, and metal and rap on the same album. And there were also big role models, I guess, of every musician, but yeah, actually of us too. And that's what we wanted to do. And in 2019, we started with an EP that was more like post-hardcore based. So a little bit of fusion with pop elements in there. We had metalcore elements in there, but it wasn't enough for us. So we want to show everything that we can and everything that we love making. So we started rapping, and it just worked, and it felt right. So we kept doing it, and right now we are just exploring. I couldn't tell you what the next album will sound like, because we will experiment with the sound. We want to grow with the sound, and yeah, doing everything that we love, and that we like to listen to. In the end, that's the goal, and that's how the songs were created. Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe on the next release after this one, you guys are gonna get even crazier, and then we're gonna end up hearing, smashing trash cans in there. It's like, well, why are they smashing trash cans? Slipknot, that's why. Just get some influence from there. It's possible, but when it comes to thinking about Linkin Park from that influence, the Linkin Park influence, especially on music today, because a lot of people that are creating music right now, or especially in the younger side of things, are all in their anywhere between their late teens to like early to late 20s. And you think about from that aspect, what band was going to be prevalent and prominent that was blending all these different styles together that had that popularity. And you think about Linkin Park because they constantly were blending all that hip hop and the electronic into rock and metal at the same time and doing it at such a consistent pace. And when it came for the different like vocal sets, you're seeing what Mike Shinoda brought to the table, but you're also seeing everything that Chester had brought to the forefront with a different style of clean. And then of course the screams were just iconic as all hell. So when it comes to having an influence in terms of blending and fusing so many different styles, I think that's the thing why I'm seeing so many different people do that nowadays, because Linkin Park was the one that brought to the forefront, but a lot of kids that were really getting into it and had their world open up through Linkin Park to music, they're the ones that are able to make music now and really experiment with these things and try out so many things. So that's why all of a sudden when we listen to you guys, we see that happen throughout this album.
Yes, and also we missed this kind of music because there are not so many artists in Europe or Germany, especially who are doing new metal sounds or experimenting with rock and hip hop together and mixing those styles. And we miss this kind of stuff. You have a few good bands in America who are doing it pretty well, like Dropout Kings and From Ashes to New. Mm-hmm. We love those guys. We're just trying to revive that scene in Germany and Europe as a whole. And we hope more artists feel the need to do it because we miss this kind of stuff.
And I think that's one of the coolest things too, is you guys are doing it just because this is the style that you love as well. And yeah, in the US we're seeing, Dropout Kings is doing it. From Ashes to New is really getting a bit much more larger foothold in the scene here, which is fantastic to see. I love From Ashes to New, so they actually fits in my, in my mindset. But when you take a look over to Europe too, because I've been looking at certain bands, I mean, there's not really that many bands that are doing anything like that or really bringing it to the forefront. The only I can really think of, and I'm not talking in Germany, I can't think of any. In Europe as a whole, the only one I can think of is Blind Channel from Finland.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, we played one show with them in 2020 before they got famous. They were pretty nice guys, and we played a show with them in front of like 20 or 30 people tops in a German city called Mannheim. And they were on tour with Amaranth, I think, and they had a day off and they booked the show, and we got to be the support. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That is awesome. Now, maybe you never know, as time has gone on, maybe all of a sudden next year they end up doing a pretty large run through Europe, and instead of playing in front of 20 to 30 people, you guys are playing in front of 2,000 people, given the prominence that they have and also the prominence that you guys are growing on as well.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Actually,
would be a dream. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, we are sharing the booking agency with them now. They are represented by Contra in Germany, and we also just signed a deal with them. So maybe there's a chance for next year.
All right, gentlemen, we are speaking this into existence right now. Here's how we're speaking to existence. We're speaking a run with From Fall to Spring and Blind Channel going through Europe in 2024. And during one of those shows, there will be some crazy guy in the middle of the pit. You're going to be like, who is this guy looking like he's having a blast? And why does he keep clutching the side? Is Kevin here because he sold the kidney? And that's when I'll do it. Hey, guys, here's a scar. And then probably get blasted in the side by someone, just go, woo! And just fall over.
Yeah, I guess let's do it. We manifested here, and then it's going to happen.
We are speaking it. What we need to do is write down a piece of paper, light it on fire, send it up, and it's like, okay, next year we're making this happen. We're putting it out here. We got to make sure it goes on because, of course, after going through the things you guys have out on Rise, the first one that caught my attention right away was Draw the Line because it has a lot more of that new metal and rap rock infusion in there, and it reminded me a lot of a mixture, like some Linkin Park in there, but it reminded me a lot of a mixture of what current From Ashes to New kind of has a feel with, along with more of that like late 90s energetic Limp Bizkit style at the exact same time.
Yeah, that one was really fun to write and really exhausting to write because that one was the song we picked for our Eurovision appliance. So we tried to be the German act for the Eurovision this year, and we had to write it on one weekend. So actually,
you have to explain what the Eurovision is because it's
I thought maybe you knew. Yeah. Eurovision is the biggest.
I'll say,
you know what it is?
I know what it is, but explain it for everybody else because I want to make sure that whoever's listening to it doesn't think, "Oh God, what's Eurovision? What are they talking about?" No. We'll go in a little bit deeper with this.
Eurovision is the biggest song contest in the world, and every country in Europe plus Australia can send a contestant, and it's one of the biggest stages you can play on in Europe. And millions and millions of watchers at home, and it's a dream for every band in Europe to play at this one time, because you're like a folk hero in your own country when you represent your country at Eurovision. And this year they were open for contestants from TikTok. So actually we applied via TikTok and went into a voting and lost. And we had second place in the voting. So it was really close, but it was really close. But it should be this year. And so we had to finish the song, and we finished it on a weekend, and then we had to film a live video for the song for applying. And then they came around with we also need a music video. So the weekend after that we shot another music video, and it was really stressful at the end of at the first 2 weeks in 2023, I think it was. But that's the story behind Draw the Line, and it's also a real personal song, and it came along really good. I love the song.
How did you guys not? You guys come in second with this, though. How'd you guys not win? However, I'm thinking about it from last year too, because I think last year Electric Callboy put in and they didn't even win. It's like, who's picking from Germany for this? Clearly, they're not picking the right ones, and you guys come in second. I'm like, clearly the votes weren't right either.
The German act that won
we're
the
voting.
voting.
This year. We're sending,
that's right. Yeah.
So who's
going? The band that we are sending is Lord of the Lost. They are like Rammstein with costumes and a really good live show. If you never heard of them, check them out. Their song is called Blood and Glitter, and that's also a good pick. Although we would have liked to present Germany ourselves.
Yeah, because if you guys would have gotten picked and been able to represent Germany, it could have seen something similar that happened with Blind Channel when they released Dark Side as well, and they put it up there, because I think they finished 6th in the contest that year, but everyone got to know exactly who they were just based off of that song. And then I mean, take a look at how that's gone for them. So I can see exactly when it comes to Eurovision why it's such a large thing that a lot of bands try and get into, a lot of, especially bands in Europe, want to be a part of based on the notoriety that comes from it. And the thing that makes, from my perspective, makes me smile is when we're seeing the bands, we're seeing these artists come through, it's not like if we were in the US and we saw it, because it would be a lot of the same pop and hip hop over and over again. We wouldn't see anything besides that. But over in Europe, it's like, okay, we're seeing the rock and metal world come into this. We're seeing a lot of other worlds come into this as well. It's more of a diverse sound instead of just, whatever's being pushed out in the radio to the massive audience at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess awesome because you get to
go first.
No, go.
No, go first. Go first.
Yeah, it's awesome because the East European states they love metal, and the Finland loves metal, Norway loves metal, and I think there is a slight shift in the Eurovision Song Contest with rock bands and bands who are experimenting, and I think that's awesome because if you just do the same pop songs over and over again, you have no progression in the song contest, you have no progression in the songs coming from it, and you broaden your audience by taking risks.
Yeah, at Eurovision, the audience loves the underdogs. So it's a real chance to break out, as you see with the Italian band Måneskin.
Yeah.
They're like one of the biggest bands right now. Everybody knows them. They have streaming numbers that are crazy high. I think like the highest ever from a band that debuted like a few years ago. And so it's still a goal. Maybe next year. I guess we will try it again next year.
I would say keep trying it as much as possible. Again, seeing how the diverse crowd is in terms of people being able, picking up, especially on the rock and metal side of things. And when it comes to them loving the underdog as well. I mean, you never know. You guys come in there. it's no one's really, speaking about From Fall to Spring at the beginning of the contest, but then there's one moment or one video that ends up just picking up into people's minds, and now all of a sudden it's like, okay, this band is the underdog, and now let's all root for them because we want to see them win over whoever the favorite is. And thinking about the Eurovision Song Contest, again, if they did over in America, I mean, if you did one from every of the 50 United States, yeah, I could see it potentially working, but the problem is every year it would just be like, okay, it's the same exact kind of music over and over again. There would be no innovation going on because the fans that would be voting on it would want the same thing over and over again. Kind of like with those song contests like American Idol, why the winners are always of the same style of music every single year, because it's okay, this is what's popular right now. Let's just make sure we're focusing on this instead of actually trying to, maybe push the needle forward, be creative, because the more you're creative, all of a sudden you get bands like Blind Channel that come out of the Eurovision contest. You get bands like Måneskin who probably, if they didn't do that, would still be just, maybe touring through Europe on an opening spot, but people got to know them. People got to know their creative style, and now, I mean, when they come over to the U.S., if they're going to be playing festivals, they're not headlining them, but they're still pretty high up on that bill already. And I'm not talking about just rock and metal festivals. I'm talking about the more popular ones that are in pop culture, like your Coachella, Lollapalooza. Yeah, those are the two I'm going to bring up for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. They play a really good time at the Rock am Ring last year. They played. And Rock am Ring is like hard to get on as a new band. There are bands that last about 20 years and still haven't played Rock am Ring, and they played it in their first year. It's crazy.
And the guys and girls from Måneskin are way younger than us, so it's a pretty big motivation because they're showing us that it can be done. It can be done as a band. You can still write a hit, even in your own language, even if it's Italian, and go viral with it, and you got your audience. Yeah.
Well, even think about this in the same aspect. When Baby Metal first broke through, it was, it's in Japanese, and you're just how ridiculous it is. Like, why does this make sense? And you listen to it, it's like, I don't know why, but this is just a lot of fun. And they're going and playing massive shows and playing, arena shows up all over these places. And they're playing, if they're going to festivals, they're not playing in the US. They're not playing like early in the day right now. It's the festivals that they're coming through now. They might be playing on like a side stage, but they might be on that side stage before the absolute headliner for the festival that night goes on. And the problem then too is everyone's going to want to go over there because what the hell is going to happen over on this aspect, especially from a younger band that has a little more of that energetic, crazier kind of sound. From your guys' perspective, I mean, that's kind of what gets me excited because you're still able to do something like that, to try and just, push the needle, see where you can be creative. You never know what that's going to happen because maybe next year you guys do something with the Eurovision contest, ends up getting be the representative, and then take off from there. And you never know, all of a sudden in 2-3 years that Rock am Ring lineup's going to come out, and it's like, there again, bands have been trying to get on there for 20 years, but nope, here's From Fall to Spring on this bad boy. And you're like, how did we get here? But this is awesome. And now there's going to be, 30,000 people watching us play at one time. So don't get too frightened about that.
But that is bucket list item number one. Yeah.
Yes,
that's on our bucket list.
Cross off, yeah.
At the top. Yeah. We had an interview like 11 years ago. It was one of our first shows. There's a festival for school, for pupils, after at the start of the vacation in summer, and we all went there as kids, to see musicians, and then we won a contest in 2012 or 13, and we got to open for the festival, and there was an interview, and it's on YouTube, and we said in this interview, biggest dream would be Rock am Ring, and we will do it someday. We will do it, promise.
Well, again, taking a look at the diverse kind of sound that you guys are working with, the style that you're going with, the energy that you guys bring to the table at the exact same time, the potential is definitely there. And the focus is also there as well, as these styles are starting to, I mean, we kind of talk about, you don't want to just go whatever's popular, but these styles are starting to gain a little bit more of a foothold, not only in Europe, but in America as well. Again, I use From Ashes to New as the example, kind of bringing that back. They're going to be going on I saw them last year at doing a headlining run. They played in front of two headlining runs. The first headline run, they actually had Blind Channel in support with them as well, which is kind of cool. but the rooms were like maybe 200 people. And then the headlining show they did at the end of the year, that show was in front of maybe 300 people. And in April and May, they're going to be going out and doing like opening spots, but they're doing them in arenas for Shinedown. So now it's okay. Yeah. People are getting into this. People are getting excited about this. So people are going to be able to get a chance to listen to this. And with nu metal kind of having more of that resurgence once again and have that style coming back. I mean, we've kind of seen it with Limp Bizkit still remaining popular. Slipknot's always still popular all throughout. But there's always a sort of connection there. Heck, I mean, even when it comes to experimenting some crazy things, Avenged Sevenfold's releasing new music this year finally. So there's always this. I'll say there's always this hunger for this, and you guys, with your creative stylings, with your energy, you have the ability to really tap into the style and the writing that you want to do that could absolutely hit with audiences going forward, so that you can make good on that, that 2012 interview and end up playing Rock am Ring within the next couple of years. That's the hope. That's the goal. I would say maybe don't sell your kidneys over that one. I got 2 kidneys. They might have a robotic one somewhere, maybe I can just, cut this one out. We can, give it a shot.
That's always the goal.
Say, we'll call it the kidney fund.
Exactly. If you would ask us 12 years ago, I would definitely have sold my kidney to play Rock am Ring. But right now, I see a way without selling it. So we try to pursue this one.
So I think a good way to put this is continue down that path where you don't have to sell your kidney, but still get to play Rock am Ring, and maybe don't sell anything else that's like, baby bodily function necessary.
That's always the goal, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the goal. But one thing I do want to make sure that people know is you guys, when it comes to Rise, the album, there's so much going on there that you're going to want to listen to every single one of the songs. I really enjoyed Draw the Line, but I got to make sure I get the one right. But Barriers was more of a, it had a little bit of a softer feel to it, but that one, just the sound of it really, really hit for me. I was just stuck on it for some reason. So before we started this interview, I was jumping between Drumline and Barriers, listening to those back and forth. I can't get enough of these. But that's just 2 songs. There are so much more dynamic sounding songs on this album as well. You're gonna want to listen to it, and you're gonna want to make sure you can help out these guys get to that point where they can get to Rock am Ring and support them every step of the way. I mean, if you like music, this is a band for you to get into. I'm not saying, what kind of music? Just music. Just if you like music, if you want to have that energetic drive, boom, right here from Fall to Spring. Don't miss out on it.
Yeah, to everybody, go and listen. Tell us what you're thinking. We always love to connect to everybody. We always love to speak to people who feel something with our music. It's always great to hear what songs are meaning for different listeners. Yeah, let's go. And we have a lot of things coming. New songs are going to be crazy, so stay tuned, everybody.
Crazy new songs. Oh, dear God. I mean, now I'm even more excited. So, guys, as we bring this podcast to its conclusion, one thing I like to do is give my guests, which is both you in this instance, a chance to say whatever you want to say, plug whatever you want to plug, promote whatever you're going to promote. So, guys, floor is yours.
So, to everybody, the album is coming, 14th of April. Rise. Go pick it up wherever you're living. It would mean the world to us. We put a lot of hard work into this album, and I think it shows in the end. So, pick the album up. To everybody from Germany or from Europe. Come to a show. Let's connect. And yeah, everybody stay healthy, I guess.
Yes, and thank you everybody who has already listened to every song we put out in the last 3 years. We are grateful for everyone, whether you're from Germany, Europe, Australia, or the US. Thank you for making this possible for us. Yeah.
Well said. Now it's time for this podcast with 3 very specific things. First things first, Rise comes out on April 14th, which is likely going to be out by the time this episode releases. So you can go and, listen to it, buy it, stream it. I would say buy it though, help out the band a little bit more. Let's give them some support on that aspect. But when it comes to shows coming out, when it comes to more new music, when it comes to that type of content, and make sure you follow along with them so that they can continue to grow and get to play Rock am Ring, and you'll be able to go and see it. Best way to do that is go to the description of the podcast where it says find From Fall to Spring online. There's going to be links for every social, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, where you can watch the YouTube videos, where you can stream the music, buy the music, download the music, where you can buy merch, where you can stay connected with them so you know when those shows are happening. All this can be in the description of the podcast. There'll be links for everything and the right labels there as well. So all you have to do is click and hit that like, stream, buy, subscribe, follow button, everything around there. I'm taking all the hard work out of it for you. All you got to do is click and then take it from there. Now, guys, now it's time for number 2. And whenever I've guests on the podcast, I enjoy having the podcast. I tend to make a certain promise as a way to say thank you guys for taking time to be on the podcast. And I would like to continue to support the band in the future in any way I can. And I knew this was going to be hit on right away, especially once, we started talking about kidneys, or when I started bringing up kidneys. So my promise to you guys is this, because you've absolutely hit on this. It is not an if. If implies that this might not happen, and I hate that. I say when. When implies this is going to happen. We just don't have a day or time yet. When I get you guys to perform live for the first time, I'm going to do my best Liam Neeson impersonation and use my particular set of skills, because I will come for you. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will look you both dead in the eye and say, first round's on me.
Deal. That's a deal. Deal. Yeah.
And hold me to that, because I always love to pay up on that debt at any point in time. All of a sudden, if I'm, all of a sudden in between sets, all of a sudden running you guys, it's just like, you host that first round. I look at you. What do you guys want? And then we're just going to the bar, take care of it, drink, have a good time. And then, all of a sudden, we're just going to go in the middle of the pit, smash and grab, have a blast. Just watch out for my, missing kidney at that point, okay?
all of a sudden, you wake up in a bathtub filled with ice, and you know what's up.
The guys from Fall of Spring took my freaking kidney.
They took the other one.
They took the other one. Well, how am I going to survive? I need the mechanical ones now. And guys, now it's time for number 3. As I bring this podcast to its full conclusion, I cannot end this by saying goodbye. That is way too final, because this was a lot of fun. I would love to have you guys back on the podcast again in the future, because I want to see how much further you guys get to that goal of making it on to Rock'em Ring, which is a lot. I hope the next time I have you on is a much, much closer to that point, or has already happened. So like within the next year or so maybe. And I made a good promise. I got to make sure I see through that promise. So I cannot end this podcast by saying goodbye. That is way too final. I end it by saying this. I'll see you later.
Yes. Till then.
Well, folks, I'm interview with the guys from Fall to Spring. I want to thank Philip and Luke for being on the podcast. And now it's time for Kevin's final thought. One thing I really wanted to have brought up in that podcast was when they were talking about, we've been talking a lot about these different release schedules with the more single-driven focus style. And of course, everything with Spotify, streaming, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But the thing that really stuck out to me was when they said, we've been releasing these songs from the Rise album, and they've been doing it consistently, once every 2 or 3 months, and have been not touring because of how exhausting it is. And I wanted to get an understanding of why. I kind of had a feeling of why, but I want to get a deeper understanding from them, mostly because in today's day and age, everything is single driven. Everything is on-demand driven. When can I get it? Now. And really bringing it back to the forefront of this one, it's something that really hit me in a little bit of a different way. Just because thinking about it, these guys are having to write these songs, produce them, do the music videos for them, do all the production side for that as well, get everything ready, do these social media posts, and just really promote it as much as possible. And that is draining a lot, especially when it comes to trying to put everything together, make sure you're doing it correctly, and having to deal with life as well, especially for younger bands as well that are trying to make their name in this single-driven world, especially in the streaming side. They also have full-time jobs as well. They have other responsibilities to make money to make sure they can continue to do this. So when, we always want new music, it's like, why can't we just get a new song every 2 months? Well, it's not that easy. And I wanted the guys to express it, and I'm really glad they did, because it made me a little bit more connected to the band at the same point in time, getting an understanding of what they've gone through and what they're dealing with and why they're doing this in order to make sure that they can make their dreams come true with From Fall to Spring. I really am passionate about it. I'm glad they brought it up. So when you're looking back at, your favorite artists or the young artists, oh man, why can't you just come out with a new song every single day, every single week? Because it's not that easy, and promoting it is not that easy. There's other responsibilities at play here. You all have, you all have different jobs. You all have different responsibilities. Now imagine trying to put out a new song every 3 months and doing all the promotion and production behind that as well, and doing it the best way possible to give yourselves the best chance to really, get that blow up moment in the scene. It's not easy, and I'm glad that we got a little bit more of an understanding of it from the guys. So thank you, Philip and Lucas, for that. When it comes to From Fall to Spring, when it comes to the Rise album out on April 14th, which will be out by the time this episode releases, please go to the description of the podcast where it says Find From Fall to Spring online. You'll see links for everything for their socials, links for YouTube, links where you can stream their music, buy their music, download their music, links where you can buy their merch, where you can keep connected with them so you know when new shows are happening. Go down and do that. And also make sure you're following the Chord Progression Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. No more TikTok. But you can follow us on there. We post a lot of different stuff about the podcast, a lot of different short version format of the podcast. We also are free to talk on any of those platforms, so feel free to message us, comment us. Mostly active on Facebook and Instagram out of the three. We also do live streams every single Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central on Instagram. The one we did the night before I recorded this episode, we talked about Boston moms, the suspicious delicious sandwich, and not dropping the soap. It was like a random smattering of things that are absolutely hysterical. So please join us for that. Make sure to subscribe to the Chord Progression Podcast on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, or follow along with us and hit that subscribe button on Spotify, Podcast Radio, or Amazon, or else where you might be on there. If you enjoyed this episode and are subscribed already, thank you very much. If you're already subscribed, thank you very much once again. If you're subscribing now, thank you very much. If you're not going to subscribe, you're like, I'm not feeling like subscribing, please reconsider. But you're always looking back here to the Chord Progression Podcast. Thank you, Phoenix Fitness, once again, 20% off and 20% off. That's it. Code CPP20 at fxhit.com. Thank you, Phoenix Fitness, link description of the podcast. Thank you, Philip and Lucas. Had a blast, and you'll see me in the pit at some point one of your shows. Hopefully, I have both kidneys intact. So on that note, that's going to be for today, guys. Thank you for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one. I'm the big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah.